So this is speaking test conducted for International English Language Testing System at Innovative Center. The center number is UZ050. Conducted on January 19th. The candidate number is 713409 and the candidate name is Timurbek Djalilov. The examiner number is 6347768 and the examiner name is Kamrambek Isoev. So good afternoon. What's your name?
My name is Timur Djalilov.
And how shall I call you?
You can call me just Tim.
So now, Tim, we're going to start with part 1, where I'll be asking you some of the personal questions, and then we'll go to part 2. First of all, let's talk about where you live. Where are you from, Tim?
Well, I am coming from Samarkand. That is one of the cities here in Uzbekistan.
And do you like it?
Yes, I really like Samarkand for a number of different reasons. First of all, it's really historical city. So whenever I'm walking down the street, I get to see people from different parts of the world. There is a diversity, and every single corner of my city seems to be.
Is it a good place for youngsters to live?
Not necessarily. I mean, youngsters obviously have to live in bigger cities like Moscow, New York, or even Tashkent, because there they will be having the opportunity to move up their career ladder, expand their knowledge.
Thank you. Now let's talk about music. What kinds of music do you like to listen to, Timur?
Well, I tend to listen to different types of music, but my all-time favorite is maybe alternative music. I really like listening to songs that you have to really listen to with attention so that you appreciate what you're listening.
And what's your favorite type of music?
Probably it's pop music, because every now and then when I'm listening to this, it cheers me up. However, in the times when I'm, for example, studying, I may put kind of classical song on a background because it allows me to concentrate on my activities more rather than when I'm listening to pop.
And when do you usually listen to music?
Well, there are several times I may listen to some songs, even in the times when I'm, for example, heading to my work. I may listen to some lyrics or songs on my headphones. But usually when I'm working out in the gym, it's one of the best ways of mine to be pushed and motivated.
Why do you think people listen to music?
You know, it's one of those questions that rarely has answers, because people listen to music, I don't know, for maybe relaxation, to get away from their day-to-day monotonous life. Sometimes we find ourselves in a vicious circle, so we really need to add some colors.
Thank you. Now let's move on to the topic of languages. How many languages can you speak, Timur?
Generally, I speak several languages. 2 of them are local, like Russian and Uzbek. You really need to speak these languages whenever you are communicating with others. And I know some English. That is why I'm taking my IELTS test, to get my proficiency level.
Thank you. Would you like to learn any other languages?
If I have time and opportunity, I would definitely like to pick up Japanese. From my early childhood, I've been interested in learning their culture, and I believe with language comes culture. So that's why I would like to expose myself to their different alphabets and many hieroglyphics that are believed to be very difficult to learn. And I don't see any purposes in terms of work of learning Japanese, because I'm working as an English teacher. But I would like to go there, express my thoughts easily, and stuff like that.
Is it more difficult to learn a language for a child or for an adult?
Well, definitely, it's easier. It's much easier to learn language for a child because, like, scientifically speaking, a child's brain is like a sponge, soaking up and assimilating a huge amount of knowledge, I would say. Speaking of adults, they don't usually have time to learn. And sometimes they are a little bit ashamed of studying with one student in one room. But it depends on the purpose. So as long as you have clear objective, I guess you will come up with everything to learn. So, I mean, adults can learn language pretty easily as well.
And why do you think people learn languages?
Well, students do this in order to maybe meet the requirements of their university exams. For example, to the best of my knowledge, in order to get into Uzbek universities, you really need to get that 5.5, 6 IELTS, that is equivalent to B2 in C, like SAFR. And maybe adults and grown-ups are doing this. They literally want to pick up languages, maybe because they want to migrate, maybe because they want to pursue higher education in prestigious universities. You know, some of the students of mine even learn it in order to, let's say, watch movies without subtitles.
Thank you. Now, that was the end of part 1. Now we're going to start part 2. I'm going to give you the cue card and the question that you have to get prepared for 1 minute and have from 1 to 2 minutes to speak. So I want you to describe an item of clothing that you like wearing. You have 1 minute for preparation. You can make some notes if you wish. Sir, time's up, Tim. You have from 1 to 2 minutes to speak. Don't worry for interrupting, all right? You can start now.
Well, at first, it was really difficult to choose an item of clothing that I like wearing because generally I'm not the type of a person who gets excited about the clothes that I wear. But then I realized there is a coat that I've been wearing for how long? For the better part of 3 or 2 years. I remember my mom persuaded me to buy this coat in the moment when I wanted to go on a trip to New York. That was a really cold winter day. And I really didn't like to wear coats because I thought they would never suit me. But my mom promised that I would fall in love with this. So when it comes to description of my coat, it's a 3/4 length coat. It doesn't quite reach down to my knees, and it's a green or gray brown color. And I really like it just because it actually goes with everything that I'm wearing. So in the moment when I'm, for example, dressing casually, in the moments when I want to go to shopping or in general catch up with my friends, I might wear it over my hoodie or even jacket. But in the times when I'm, for example, going to particular meetings, to some conferences organized for teachers, I can easily wear it over my suit. And I like it just because personally, I have to admit that they are not as fashionable as they were, for example, several months ago. I mean, these types of coats, they went out of fashion, obviously. But I really appreciate it because I like it now, but I would have never chosen it myself. And this was suggested by someone that I truly love, and this is my mom. And every now and then when I'm wearing this coat, it reminds me of those cold days when my mom decided to keep me warm and she was really concerned about me living in New York. So that's it.
Thank you. Now, we'll continue with part 3, where I'll be asking a couple of more general questions related to the topic that you have been talking about. Let's talk about uniforms, Tim. Should kids wear uniforms at school?
Well, yes and no. By saying this, I mean that there are some governments and there are some countries which literally require that school uniform policy. They believe that if all students wore particular uniform, be it suit or even classic jeans, it would definitely eliminate that discrimination among students. Because I remember even when I was studying at school, there were a lot of cases where I would just bullied for the fact that I wore very old clothes, that I was not looking as nice as my peers. And for that reason, if you have a school uniform, it would promote that sense of unity, particular sense of belonging, that you belong to a particular school. But we see, I mean, there is a friend of mine whose name is Bob, and he is always telling me that in USA, they don't really have that uniform policy. They can wear whatever they want. It also has clear pluses, of course.
And what do you think are some of the negative sides of wearing uniform at school?
Yeah. Of course, there are some downsides. I believe in the moments when children want to express their feelings or how do they feel in general to showcase their emotional statement to the world, it's going to be a little bit inappropriate or inconvenient for them to do so just because they are restricted by this rigid school uniform policy. They cannot even enter the lyceum or college without a tie or a white shirt. And another minus of this can be quite difficult for parents to afford the school uniform policy because at the end of the day, let's remember that it also costs some amount of money. So you have to look after it, you have to iron it every single morning, and you got to make sure that you're not growing up too fast because ultimately your school uniform can be wrong size. And probably that's it.
Thank you. And what is the environmental impact of clothing industry?
It has a profound and significant impact on the environment. I believe all of those fashion industries sometimes are not conscious about the environmental footprint that they're living. Obviously, in order to produce a particular type of material and to edit particular color, for example, pink or red, those colors are not sometimes obtained naturally. I mean, of course, there are some fashion industries who are doing this, which are doing this naturally. But I believe sometimes they're using a lot of chemicals, and all of those chemicals are then released into the air, massive amount of CO2, hazardous gases, which are then being breathed by people living in a city. Having said that, there are some environmentally concerned fashion industries. To the best of my knowledge, these are Zara and H&M. They're trying to be the ones who are literally concerned about the environment. They're trying to recycle several materials, be it carton, be it plastic, and then integrate it into their fashion industry.
Thank you. And how a fashion brand can become internationally successful?
The first thing that comes to my mind is probably by means of advertisement. All of us, we need to bear in mind that advertisement is something that we come across in our daily lives. I mean, wherever you go, you see billboards, you see advertisement on the mobile phone. That's why companies like Dior, Louis Vuitton, all of those top well-known companies in the world have to literally invest a significant amount of money into their fashion industry and advertisement, because obviously it's one of the best ways to get to know the public and inform the public that there are particular updates. Apart from advertisement, I believe it's really important to maintain the quality that you offer, come to the standards of the quality. So, for example, if you even invest millions of dollars into your advertisement on TV, but next day a customer goes to the shopping mall and he sees that the quality that you offer did not necessarily equal and did not necessarily probably equal the quality that you promised on TV, it's going to be quite disappointing, and you're going to lose your public. You will not be able to attract them even. Probably some celebrity endorsement can play a role as well. I would say it's also one of the best ways of getting your product well known. When there is a Kylie Jenner or a Kim Kardashian, for example, getting your products literally broadcasted in many different social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram.
Thank you. That was the last question for part 3, Tim, and this is the end of our speaking test. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Goodbye.